In anime, most memories of it are of heroes emerging triumphant with their nifty new skill, often followed by a speech about their training, friends, or whatnot. However, what a lot of people tend to forget is that an anime series is a long, developing narrative, and to get to that point, our characters have to go through a lot. And when I say a lot, I mean a lot. In order for the glorious rise of the hero, often he'll typically have to get knocked down a peg first. You see, prior to some of the most climactic moments in anime history is that defining moment where the hero's at his lowest. Now, without further ado, here are 10 moments where the anime protagonists get destroyed. Gon taking on Hanzo makes it as the first entry on this list. Quite early on in the series, Gon has managed to make his way past the previous trials in the Hunter exam. With the final phase of the exam at hand, Gon finds himself facing Hanzo, opening the final phase with a battle where the only way to win is to force your opponent to admit defeat. Gon has a tough match ahead of him, and just as expected, he gets roughed up and beaten down systematically by the opponent that's much stronger, faster, and superior in every single way. Gon realistically never had a chance, and the only weapon that he gets left with is his indomitable heart and guts. Even after enduring this beating, Gon refuses to give up and admit defeat. Coming to like Gon for his spirit, Hanzo eventually surrenders on his own, but out of a sense of admiration. Not the most convincing way to win for a lot, but the fight does show us how strong Gon's fortitude is. So with a heart like that, challenges can be overcome. At least that's what I think the message of that episode is anyway. It also sets the foundation for what defines Gon and makes some moments in the future arcs a lot more stronger and more impactful. At number 9, we take a look at Ichigo versus Ulquiorra. Personally speaking, I was torn between featuring this fight or the first fight against Aizen. While the Aizen one was more memorable, I think that it'd be a good idea to feature the fight against Ulquiorra more, since it's not as popular, and the fact that the 4th Espada would go on to have more fights against Ichigo and end up mopping the floor with him each and every time. The two had their first encounter right at the start of the Arrancar arc, and Ulquiorra already made a big impression through his demeanor and supposed strength over his companion Yami, the 10th Espada, who made quick work of Ichigo. Fast forward later and we get their first actual fight, and things didn't go too well for Ichigo. Luckily for him though, Grimmjow was around to bring Orihime for some much needed healing. Even their final confrontation, where Ulquiorra unveils his numerous forms, saw Ichigo get stomped for 90% of the fight. First impressions do matter, and the first encounter where Ulquiorra puts Ichigo to the brink of death really made one mighty impression. Next is Araragi vs Ganbaru. Remember back when Rainy Devil attempted to fill Ganbaru's wish? Forget putting up a fight. As we saw, there's just virtually no way to act and follow the beat of Ganbaru's relentless assault. Koyomi just got massacred, and there's no other way to put it. Koyomi got ripped apart so brutally that the whole thing had to be censored. Seriously, without the special palette that the anime used, I'm sure the fight would have seemed a lot more brutal than what we usually see from brutal fights in anime before. But seeing someone get thrown around by the intestines, not exactly the most beautiful sight now, is it? Censorship aside, the anime pulled no punches in depicting the battle the best way it can, with its blazing fast visuals that make you feel the impact of each of Ganbaru's attacks. Totally not what you'd expect of a show after spending hours searching for memes thanks to Rainai's circulation, huh? Want to make a new antagonist group as menacing and memorable? Have them make an impact by outright killing one of the main protagonists. In a series where there are so many overpowered characters like 7 Deadly Sins, such a feat would be almost unimaginable, but boy, did the 10 Commandments do it. To be fair though, it probably isn't the best idea for Meliodas to take on the entire group by himself. On the other hand, he prepared for Droll and Gloxinia, not the entire squad, so I digress. It's a one-man army fight waiting to happen, but unfortunately for Meliodas, he's not fighting no-name underlings or anything like that. The numbers game quickly catches up despite how overpowered Meliodas is, and he finds himself succumbing to the combined might of the Commandments. It all ends in a spectacular fashion with Meliodas getting stabbed and dying. And this isn't the last time we see Meliodas in the series for obvious reasons, but it's a moment that marks a huge shift in the balance of power in the series. As if Attack on Titan at this point hasn't already made it clear that it's a show that dares to do away with shonen anime cliches and narratives, we immediately get treated to this fight. A typical anime fan would expect Eren to charge in a fit of rage as a Titan after seeing multiple people die, and I'm sure that most fans would have expected Eren to come out victorious, therefore ending the arc right there. Well, one Titan did get stomped, but it's Eren. To be fair, Eren does put up a fight, but he was ultimately no match against the female Titan, who makes quick work of him and pulls him out of his Titan form. Fortunately for him though, he was spared from much of the pain coming his way by his fellow humans. After reeling from the defeat, Eren gets a chance to regroup and prepare to fight for another day. This time, he'll make sure to deal with the female Titan for good, but that battle's probably best talked about some other day. Next we have Subaru's first few battles against Elsa in ReZero. Who could forget the first time we got a glimpse of Subaru's powers? Normally that line would be reserved for someone unleashing pent-up power and stomping an opponent. Unfortunately for our lucky isekai protagonist here, his power activates when he dies. Yeah, not the most convenient ability out there now, is it? Being able to go back to a checkpoint and right what you did wrong sounds good, but having to experience death in the most gruesome ways to do it? I don't think so, no thanks. The second round with Felt in tow is more of a fight, but we're then treated to a showcase of just how much stronger a trained assassin is. Even with Felt and Old Man Rom's help, Subaru quickly dies another death, proving that he's ultimately just as helpless as he thought he was. Then again, it's the interesting ability and helplessness that played a big part in ReZero becoming the smash hit subversion of the standard isekai tropes in shows in the genre. Luffy's well known for your quintessential mold of a classic shonen protagonist, outrageous dreams, a knack for adventure, and a firm believer of the power of bonds. Another trait is his ability to get back up after a beating and come back stronger than ever, which is what he really needed after the ill-fated fight against Crocodile. Things, they didn't go too well for Luffy in his first battle against Crocodile. The fight started off as a back-and-forth exchange, but as the battle went on, I personally felt that the odds were getting more and more stacked against our hero. It all culminated in him getting impaled in the middle of ranting and being left for dead. Few can get back up after such a demoralizing defeat, but if anyone's up for it, it has to be the one and only Monkey D. Luffy. Things do get more heated in their next battle, largely thanks to this stomping that would have no doubt stuck in Luffy's mind for a long time. Gintama as a series is mainly known for its masterful ability to swing between comedic episodes and really serious and dramatic arcs. Among its more serious and impactful arc is the 4 Davis arc, and this brief scuffle, in my opinion, is the point when tensions truly rise in this arc. Meeting Jirocho at the cemetery, Gintoki snaps upon seeing what happened to Otose. He proceeds to attack with reckless abandon. This action forces Jirocho to release his sword, and as you typically know from anime, the rage-filled protagonist typically doesn't come out on top in a fight against a non-mook, especially one at this point of an arc against a strong opponent. The subsequent battle saw Gintoki getting defeated handily. Prior to the latter episodes, episode 211 is probably the most emotionally intense episode of the series and has become a fan favorite just for this single moment. Many people were caught off guard here, and you know what? Rightfully so. Most of us would associate Kaneki vs Jason being the crowning moment in Tokyo Ghoul, where Kaneki finally embraces his ghoul side and beats Jason to oblivion. What often gets overlooked is their first encounter, which put Kaneki in that position to unleash his ghoul side in the first place. Jason, known as Yamori, has his first encounter with Kaneki during a raid. Discovering his nature, Jason then proceeds to beat Kaneki unconscious in order to abduct him. The ride's far from ending for Kaneki, as he then undergoes a lot of torture, both physically and psychologically. This would soon open up the way to him accepting his ghoul side and letting it run loose at the show's climax. Whenever people from the Berserk fandom bring up Guts, it's always in the form of some otherworldly admiration. And why wouldn't they? As far as an anime character goes, Guts is by far one of the toughest and most badass ones out there, and his feats in his series are nothing short of being otherworldly. That's not to say that everything has gone his way though. You see, there is this event called the Eclipse. Yes, the Eclipse where Griffith finally transcends and becomes Femto. In this event, we see Guts at his lowest in a surreal spectacle. Despite fighting against and managing to eliminate a lot of the demons, he eventually finds himself taken down and forced to watch Casca. Things would have been far worse had the Skull Knight not interfered. For all the badass feats and character traits that Guts has, I don't think any of the characters have fallen down in depths as low as he did at this point in time. And there you go, 10 times where things didn't go too well for the protagonist. Who says that heroes always win the day in a medium like anime, hey? These 10 moments prove otherwise, and in one way or another, they've become a permanent memory in the minds of people watching these series. What other moments can you think of the top of your head? I'd love to hear from you. If you enjoyed watching this video, go ahead and press that like button and subscribe to my channel if you enjoy anime content of this kind. I'll see you next time on VinnyTube.